Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending the Tuesday morning classroom session with Shortcuts. My name is Noah. I'm one of the educators, and this is going to start the new season of classroom sessions. So if you didn't get a jump on it during spring, we're now starting all over. So these are going to be new presentations, and in the fall, we're going to have entirely new lessons on an updated version of Shortcuts. So let's actually jump into it. So as with our other classroom sessions, this will be recorded. It's about 30 minutes, a little bit more for this one because we're reviewing the basics in the cloud. We are recording this session, so if you're not able to sit through the whole thing, that's okay. We're going to send you a copy of this recording later. And of course, if you're watching this after the fact, you can of course reach out to us and we will provide our contact information. So let's talk about what we're going to review today. So a number of you have salons or spas or barbershops, and perhaps you have online booking or self check-in enabled, especially during the COVID period, where we want to make sure that customers can access your services online and even your staff can do things like make appointments for themselves or just look at their schedule online. So that's where the cloud really comes in handy. It expands on your service offerings, it expands on your presence online, and we're going to look at the cloud, which greatly expands on what you can do online. So most of you, if you already have online services enabled, online booking or self-check-in, you should already be familiar with the console. So the console is the original web page where you would go to administer your online services. This is where you would put in your rules. If you had online booking rules, like a customer can only make an appointment 1 day in advance or as far as 60 days in advance, or if you're going to give your staff permission so that they can look at their appointments for the week, this is where you go to set all that up. So there's a new button in that. So if you haven't used it in a while, you probably noticed there's a button that says the cloud. So once you log in there, it's going to give you access to the Shortcuts cloud. Now, some of you may be using a much older version of Shortcuts, so that needs to be upgraded first before you can take advantage of the cloud. But in either case, your username should be an email that you had been using previously. So you can log into the console.shortcutsoftware.com or directly to the cloud at POS. So point of sale.shortcutsoftware.com. It's the same username, same password. So once you're on the cloud, what exactly does it do? So the first and of course the major feature of the cloud is the cloud appointment book. So previously in the console, staff had access to what was called Anywhere, where you can look at your appointments for the week, and the staff was limited so that they can really only see their own appointments for the week. Well, the cloud expands on that. And one of the number one features that, of course, everybody asks for is the ability to look at the appointment book, just like you would normally look at it on your point of sale system. And that's exactly what the cloud is. So you can give your front desk, you can give your staff permission so that they can log into the cloud and look at the appointment book. And it has all of the same functionality of your point of sale appointment book. So this includes being able to make appointments, being able to move appointments, being able to cancel appointments, and even putting in tasks to block out the time. So it's essentially an online version of your traditional appointment book. And you do have the ability to give your staff permission to either have all of the functionality or just some of the functionality. For example, if you want to give them permission to look at their own appointments, to make changes to their own appointments, but nobody else's, you can set those permissions. So this is a short video which sort of highlights some of the functions on the cloud appointment book. So since this is web-based, you will have to give your staff access to the cloud. And it's the same steps really that you would do if you were going to give them an account in what was called Anywhere in the console. So you can say, my staff member has employee permissions. That means they can look at the appointment book. They can do some basic changes. So you can give them permission in the console, or you can log directly into the cloud, find your employees, find your staff, and then assign them permissions. So if you've never given your staff permission to access the appointment book online or to access even their own appointments online, you have to start with their email. So their email becomes their login, it becomes their username, and then they're going to get a randomly generated password. Once they have that, when they go to the cloud page, they'll put in their email, they'll put in that random password, and they'll have access to the appointment book. And again, you can limit what they're allowed to see in that appointment book. So as the video shows, the data syncs real time. So if a staff member is in the back room, they're making an appointment, that appointment will show up on the main server, the main point of sale computer that your staff, your front desk is used to using. So it's not like they have to wait 10 or 15 minutes for those appointments to either show up or to move or to change. It happens in real time. The other nice thing about this is, since it is a portable solution for accessing the appointment book, you also have the ability to do more advanced things. And we're going to talk about doing things like upsells of products. So the things you should know: if you have a tablet or if you have a mobile device, when you log into the cloud, what exactly do you see? So remember the console page that I told you about? Whether you go directly to the console or the cloud page, which is at point of sale, pos.shortcutsoftware.com, you log in with your email, you log in with your password, and it takes you automatically to the appointment book page. So at the top, you get to customize what your menu looks like. So perhaps you want to see appointments, you want to see your marketing, you want to see other features, you can modify your actual menus. So we're going to look at the appointment book. And in the appointment book, it opens up just like it does on your regular point of sale. So I can actually pause here. And yes, you can search for customers when you're making appointments. So I'm going to jump out of this slide and I'll pause it here and go into the actual cloud. So this is the console page that most of you should already be familiar with. If you've never given permission for your staff before to access their appointments, to look at their schedule, you would go to Site Settings, and on the right side, Manage Users. So this already has a list of all of the staff members that have permission to access their appointments in the console. If I need to add somebody, I would go to Add a New User. I would search for somebody from a specific site, one of my two salons, and the name of that particular person. So this is normally the place that you go to give them permissions. You can also go directly to the cloud to do that. So as you can see, the cloud appointment book actually shows the date. It shows my staff member names. And at the top, I can go to the menu button. I can go to my employee list and choose my employees, and then choose the name of a specific employee. And if this person did not have an account previously, at the bottom of the screen, I would go to Roles and Login, and this is where I create their account. So their username and their email are actually the same thing. So in this case, if I'm going to give Jordan an account, I would put in their email, jordan@shortcuts.net. And again, that's also their email. So in this case, they don't forget their username. And then what level of permission should they have? And I'll show you in just a moment where the permissions are set. So if I say this person should have employee permission and I set login access yes, then what happens when I press the done button on the bottom of the screen? Jordan is going to get an email and it will say, this is the link to the Shortcuts Cloud. Log in with your username and log in with this random password. And as soon as Jordan logs in, Jordan will see the appointment book and all of the same functionality that they would have in the traditional Shortcuts point of sale system, they can do here. So if they click on a blank time, let's say Jordan's going to give an appointment to Kent at 11 o'clock. As soon as they choose that, they can search for a customer, they can go through a list of recent customers, or at the bottom, they can set a task. So those steps should be very familiar to you. Now, as far as permissions go, this is something we'll expand on when we do the Cloud Advanced class next week. But I'm going to give you a preview. If we go to Menu, and on the left side, we go to General Settings. This is where you can see the current settings, change them if you want to, or even create a custom level. So on the left side, usually you have two levels, Employee and Site Manager. An employee, if I choose that level, on the right side, it actually spells out for me what permissions does an employee have. They can view their appointments, they can create appointments, they can update their own appointments. And they can do that on a non-bookable shift time. So if one of them is going to come in on their off day just to do a haircut or a service for a friend, they can book that. And you notice it doesn't necessarily give them permission to do that on somebody else's appointments or somebody else's schedule. So keep that in mind. You can also change these permissions. You can go to the appointment book specifically and say if you have employee access, you can actually change their permissions. So yes, they can do this, or no, they can do that for other employees. So again, we're going to expand on that when we go through the cloud settings in the advanced class next week. So let's go back to the presentation. So the cloud is an easy way for your staff, your front desk, to get access to the traditional point of sale appointment book when they're either working remotely or they're somewhere in the salon if they have a tablet or a phone, just to be able to access that. The other thing that they can do is the inventory that's in your system actually synchronizes online. So you have the ability to add products while the customer is still in the chair. So if the stylist, if whoever the customer is with, recommends very specific products, oh, I love this conditioner, it's going to work great with your hair, or this shampoo is perfect for dry hair, whatever it is, if they recommend it and the customer says, yes, I'd like to try it, that employee can bring up a tablet or their phone, find the item, and add it to their ticket so that when the customer is checking out, those items are waiting for them at the front desk. So here's an example. So on the left side, a staff member goes to the products, they find a certain item, they add the quantity, and then they just add it to the ticket. And it synchronizes automatically to the point of sale. So when the customer goes to the front desk, that original appointment is there, plus any products that the staff member recommended. So there is a point of sale button, and it will allow you to choose a ticket and modify it. Now, there will be a following step, which will allow customers to check out while they're still in the chair. So pay for their service while they are still in the chair. That feature is coming soon from Shortcuts. So this is sort of the intermediary, just being able to update their services, update their products while they're in the cloud. The other advantage of the cloud is if you're working remotely, if you're at home and you need to see the numbers for the business, Well, of course, you don't want to necessarily run back to your shop to try to get those details. The most important reports, the most important data for your business are actually available on the cloud now. So we have 5 reports with all the essential key performance data for your business. So this includes your staff productivity. This includes your totals, your trading summary data. So the things that you would normally wait until the end of the day to get, you can actually get in real time from the cloud. So in the cloud, if you go to menu and you go to reports, these are the big ones: your booking analysis, employee productivity, trading summary, and most of you are familiar with the trading summary, employee performance, and even targets. So yes, you can set targets for individual staff members, and you can also set targets for your business, and those are available in the reports. The nice thing about this is the button that says dashboard. And what the dashboard is sort of like the trading summary and the employee performance and productivity report on steroids, because it gives you a one screen breakdown of all of your important data that refreshes in real time. So it's not limited to just today's trading date. With all of these reports, you get to set the date range. So whether it's one day, whether it's 1 week, whether it's 1 month, you get to set it. And you'll get a breakdown on some of these. So in booking analysis, for example, you can take a look at cancels, no-shows, completed appointments, and see how your business is trending. For employee productivity, you can actually see your staff, how they were booked versus how much they actually work. So what is their actual utilization? And if you have multiple locations for any of these reports, you can actually choose to filter it. I only want to see a breakdown of this particular site, or I want to see how it's comparing to multiple sites, and shortcuts will allow you to do that. So the trading summary. So it is pretty much the industry standard of reports. It's everything that has happened for your business, your employee totals, your customer totals, your what your transactions were for cash, credit, all of that information broken down for you. And for any report that you do have the ability to export it. So on the top right corner, where you would set to see multiple sites or single sites, where you would choose, am I going to filter it for specific employees? You also have an export feature, which allows you to save it in a CSV format that of course you can open in Excel. So for employee performance, as opposed to employee productivity, so the big key performance indicators here are their service totals and averages, retail hours, and customer visits. So you're presenting with these little arrows on the performance screen, and when you press the arrow, you get an expanded list of all of those particulars. And you do have the ability to give staff permission to access these reports. So they only see their own numbers. They don't see their business totals. They don't see their coworkers' totals. So the dashboard, the one that I said is like the trading summary on steroids. So this is exclusive to the cloud. You do not have a report like this in the regular Shortcuts point of sale. And you'll notice that it's pulling numbers, graphs, data from all of the other reports available on the cloud. And again, if you have multiple sites, it can give you the totals and the averages for multiple sites or single sites. Not only that, it also shows you what email or text campaigns you had sent out and whether or not customers are opening them, are they bouncing, things like that. So the dashboard is a very useful report, and it's only available in the cloud. So if you are using an ancient version of Shortcuts, you probably need to get upgraded in order to take advantage of the cloud. So we still have Shortcuts customers that are using very old versions of Shortcuts 7. And in order to synchronize with online services, this includes things like online booking, you need to be on a newer build of Shortcuts. So you might want to see about getting an upgrade. And if you have an old contract, old system of shortcuts, you might want to see about taking advantage of our new tiers. So the higher the tier, the more online services you have access to. So if you're not using the cloud, I would highly recommend it, especially since most businesses are moving to a lot of online features. You want to make sure that your staff is able to take advantage of those online features, your customers are able to take advantage of that, and the cloud is the perfect way to begin. So you should now know a little bit about the Cloud Appointment Book, the functions of it, some of the Shortcuts Cloud reports, and the features of the dashboard. So if you are on an old build of Shortcuts, if you've never upgraded your system, if you're on an old contract, you're not using text confirmations, you're not using email confirmations, you haven't set up any marketing campaigns, you really should be using the Shortcuts Cloud. So go ahead and give our customer success team a call. So there's our 800 number. Option 2 will connect you directly to them. So ask about it. So it's really going to help your business. So now we're going to open up the floor for any questions, and I'll give you a moment. On the right side of your screen, you should have a pop-up window from this GoToWebinar. If you have any questions, go ahead and type in your message. And if you're watching this video after the fact, you can always reach out to us. We're available on education@shortcuts.net. We're also available on social media. So if you ask us a question on our Facebook page at Shortcuts USA or on Instagram page at Shortcuts USA, we will get back to you. Right. I don't think we have any questions. Okay. So most of you are probably just getting some general information about the Shortcuts Cloud, and that's fine. If you have any further questions, let us know. So go ahead and reach out to us on our webpage, via email, and of course, social media. Thank you all for attending. If you're interested in the cloud or you already have the cloud, next week, next Tuesday, when we do our new classroom session, we're going to look at more advanced features. So we're going to expand on security. We're going to expand on a number of other things you can do in the Shortcuts Cloud Appointment Book. Okay? Everybody have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next session.